Hello, manual students. It's Mr. Dreamer. I'm coming at you with some information on how to determine grades and credits for the end of semester 2, which is inclusive of the work you did while we were at manual during quarter 3 and the work you've done during remote learning. Before we dive in, I want to tell you how much I miss you, how much we miss you as a staff, and how proud we are of you for all the work that you've done this year. In the coming weeks, a school administrator will give you a call and help you determine the grades that best benefit your GPA and you as a student. Now, you won't get to choose all of your grades. You won't get to say, man, I just want all A's because I feel good about the work that I've done. But you will be coached into determining grades that best support you and your GPA. During that phone call that you will receive, an administrator will help you decide between two options. The first option is to just take the grade that the teacher assigned to you for semester 2. These are typically grades that are an A or a B because these grades will, on average, improve your GPA overall. If you received an A in chemistry, you'll want to keep that A because that will give you a boost in your overall cumulative GPA. That is likely true for you if you have a B as well. But let's say you get a grade that's lower than you expected or lower than your typical grade, typically a C or a D. You can choose to take the credit for that course and not take the letter grade, which may negatively impact your GPA. If you take the credit, on your transcripts will read a P for passing. This means that you've received credit for the course, you do not have to retake it, and that P will not positively or negatively impact your GPA. It says you've met the requirement, but it will not impact that GPA. If you fail a course, you'll receive an F and a no credit, and you'll have to retake that course either at manual when we return again live or through credit recovery at some point in your academic future. That determination will be made for you based on the amount of work done during semester 2. But again, for those courses you're able to choose, you can either choose the given letter grade or choose to take the credit if that letter grade will negatively impact your GPA. Just a note on how GPA is calculated for a reminder for you. GPA is calculated on a 4-point scale at Manual High School, where A's are worth 4, B's are worth 3, C's are worth 2, D's are worth 1, and F's are worth 0. In order to calculate your GPA, you take the grades you received, you assign the point value, you add up all of those points for the semester, and you divide by the number of classes that you took. So here's an example. This student's name is Freshman McNinth grade. This student received an A in geography, which is worth 4. An A in Algebra 1, also worth 4. A B in Human Body Systems, worth 3 points on our 4-point scale. A C in Bio, worth 2 points on our 4-point scale. An A in English, an A in Choir, an A in ROTC, all worth 4 points, and a 3 in Drawing and Painting, or a B. Freshman McNinth grade will add up all of those numbers and divide by the number of courses. When doing that, freshman McNinth grade's GPA for the semester is a 3.5. This is just a reminder on how to calculate your GPA for a semester. But what will this look like for this semester, one that was so challenging and so difficult because of remote learning? As a school, and for Denver Public Schools in general, our goal is to make sure that your grades benefit you the most for your overall academic trajectory. I'm going to walk you through this student's example and how this student, example McSampleson, will determine their grades for semester 2 of this year. Example McSampleson received a C in chemistry. That C is lower than or right on average with their overall cumulative GPA of 2.65. Remember, if you go back, the C is worth 2. So that C might actually lower their GPA. So example McSampleson doesn't want their GPA lowered. They're going to take the P for passing, meaning the student received credit but it will not negatively impact their GPA. Conversely, in civics, this student received an A. That A is higher than their cumulative GPA, which means it will boost their GPA overall. They'll want to keep that A. They'll want to keep the A in English 3 as well, because it's higher than their cumulative GPA, which is their average GPA during their history as a student at Manual. They struggled in ethnic studies and received a D for semester 2. That D is lower than their cumulative GPA, so they'll take the P for passing. Again, they'll receive credit, but they will not receive a letter grade, and that will not negatively impact their GPA. They'll take the letter grade in AAA 109. They'll take the letter grade in Algebra 3, because those will boost their GPA overall. And in Choir, because they failed it, they'll have to retake an elective credit at some point in the future. So their end of semester GPA is a 3.75 because they took the GPA boost in civics, in English 3, in AAA 109, and in Algebra 3. They took the credit, which would have negatively impacted their GPA, in chemistry and in ethnic studies, and they'll retake an elective sometime in the future. This is an important distinction to make, and you will not have to do this all by yourself. You will have the assistance of a school administrator to help you make these determinations in order to decide what best supports you as a student and your academic future as a student at Manual. Some of you have a concurrent enrollment courses, and this will look similar in those courses with some different deadlines. If you're taking a concurrent enrollment class through CCD, you can take the letter grade as assigned by the teacher. You can take a satisfactory, which again doesn't negatively impact your GPA, but it says you receive credit for the course. Or an unsatisfactory, if you did not do the coursework, will be assigned to you. For CU Succeeds courses, it is similar. You can receive a pass plus, you can determine that, pass, pass minus, or a letter grade. These decisions will be communicated with the professor before June 15th. So you'll go through the same process again with the support of a school administrator to determine which one of these grades or which one of these choices best supports you as a student for your concurrent enrollment courses and as a student at Manual in general. Similar process, a little different marker for those grades. Most importantly, I want to communicate to you that you will not do this alone. We will not tell you, hey, tell us what you want, what you decide, and let us know at some point in the future. We'll actually have a conversation with you. Between May 26th and June 5th, a school administrator or teacher will reach out to you to help you have this conversation and make these decisions. If you look at these grades here, 9th grade, you'll have a conversation with either Mr. Glover, Mr. Clinkscales, Miss Furman, or Mrs. Britt. A 10th grader can expect to have a conversation with Mrs. Weathers, Mrs. Mushrush, Mrs. Furman, or Mrs. Britt. And an 11th grader will have a conversation with either Mrs. Meshnook, Mr. Dreamer, Mr. T, Miss Furman, or Mrs. Britt. These conversations will happen over the phone. We'll walk you through your grades and help you make the best determination in order to support your GPA and receive as many credits as possible for semester 2 of this school year. There's a lot of questions, I'm sure, with what I just presented. And again, you're not in this alone. You'll expect a phone call from one of the school administrators or teachers. But in the meantime, before that happens, please email me, Mr. Dreamer, my email is here, or Mrs. Meshnook if you have any questions or concerns about this process. This has been a long process for us all. It's been a significant learning experience and in many ways a significant challenge. But we're here to help you get it right. Know that we will help you get it right, and know that you don't have to do this by yourself. We thank you so much, Manual students. As I said earlier, we're so proud of you. Thank you for your work, and we're excited to continue this work with you in the future.